All right. Well, Bun, it's good to see you, man. I'm just going to first of all start and let you have the first crack at this. It's going to be a controversial one as we play for the second time this evening.
Would you rather?
love the fact, Sean, that you're doing it in sections. It's kind of like now a commercial break. It's wicked.
I'm learning because it's the way
barbecue sauce, by the way.
Yes.
sweet curry, man.
Hoisting all the time on everything.
I'm an HP sauce man myself.
Oh, much respect for HP.
All right, Bun. This is one for you because we haven't spoken about the second. We just finished talking about how good Kulu is and how great he's, his introduction has been, and we mentioned briefly how good Bentancur's introduction has been into the team. We haven't really got into too much detail, and we can take this opportunity to do it as you justify, and everyone gets the chance to answer this. If you had to keep one of Bentancur or Kulu at the end of the season, if one of them goes back to Juve and the other one stays on the perm, who do you keep?
Oh, Sean, you've upped your game. You're going through ceilings again.
That's to Bun on this one first. Are you here? You still there, Bun?
Oh, did we lose?
Oh,
That's a tactical exit. He didn't want to answer that one.
I don't think it's that difficult of a question.
Okay, go on then, Will. Crack on.
Bentancur.
You keep Bentancur?
Yeah.
Oh, my days.
We'll get 2 buns.
2 buns.
2 buns.
Are those pigtails? If you have 2 buns,
he's got the loaf in again. Yeah. He's got the loaf in
Princess
again.
Leia.
Princess Leia. That's fantastic.
Bun plus bun equals Princess Leia. Bentancur, because we have far less talent in that midfield than we do up front. For example, is Kulusevski better than Lucas Moura right now on form? Yeah, absolutely. But can Harry Winks, Højbjerg, and Skip equal Bentancur in that midfield? No.
Yeah, well justified.
I don't agree. I gotta say, I'm not. I would agree with you, Will, if the question was about now. It's a set. I think we would be absolutely vacuous in the center of the pitch if we lost Bentancur right this minute. So yes, he's definitely more important now. But I believe, Sean, if I'm not wrong, was the question was for the end of the season. Who would you rather keep at the end of the season?
Yeah. So we've got the 2 until then. Oh, right. Take it where you want. Essentially, it's just who do you prefer? If you could only have one, we can expand.
I would answer totally differently. I would answer totally differently if it's right now versus the end of the season. Right now, Bentancur is way more important, way more. But at the end of the season, if you think about who would you bring in to replace them, I think that there are other incredible central midfielders that if we brought them in, you wouldn't miss Bentancur. As much as I think he's unbelievable and you'd miss him right now, absolutely. Whereas Kulusevski, I don't think that there's too many players we can go out and replace him with at the end of the season.
I think there are.
Who's better than Kulu that we could go
Rafinha.
get? Oh yeah, that's a good shout.
He would cost about the
same.
same.
It's a good shout.
Love that. Who?
But he's
one. Rafinha.
But they are way fewer and further between. First of all, you've got to find a left-footed player. You've got to find an incredible left-footed player who is a striker. Where there's so many central midfielders I could think of. You know what I mean? Kezier, McKennie, Vital, loads of players we could potentially bring in. Whereas I do think that like Rafinha, absolutely, I would definitely have Rafinha in the team. But I can't think of too many who would live up to Kulu standards.
No, I mean I just think that Bentancur, for his price, what we paid for him, I don't think we caught him. The player that he was on Sarri at Juventus is like not world class, but teetering up there, right? How he was for the last maybe 10 months at Juventus, not so much. Kind of like a Kane situation, but that player is there.
Yeah,
Kulusevski hasn't proven that he's anywhere close to the player that Bentancur was. At Juventus when he was playing it with the 3 at the back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't get me
I'd say
wrong. I'd love Rafinha. I just feel like that there are more options in central midfield. You're right. I agree everything you're saying. I just do feel like there's more options in the summer. There's not too many that I think would be able to lace Kulu's boots. But the central midfield, man, there's so many possibilities out there.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go with my North American brother here. There must be something in the water over here, Will, because I am completely with Will. And the reason I am with Will is obviously you look at the right back situation and how bad we've got this wrong, and obviously we've kept lowering quality. I didn't even know anything about Bentancur, as I said. I didn't know where he came from. I didn't know what type of footballer. I knew nothing about him. But what he's come in and done in a short period, his calmness on the ball, his coolness on the ball. And you've got to remember, we're still yet to see him and Skip together, which we all know, even as much as I love Højbjerg.
Can't wait for that. Can't wait
as much as I love Højbjerg, without a doubt, that is the dream midfield. Now, for me, in football, the two most important relationships are in football are the two in midfield and the two in defence. And what Bentancur has brought is a very specific. I'm going to go all Liam Neeson there. Is a very specific set of skills.
I will find you and I will play you.
Exactly. Well, this is the thing. I've used White Men Can't Jump. Let's go into. So Will Stewart knows I used to play a game and I got Will Stewart on it on a certain channel where you try to get song titles in. It now looks like I'm trying to get the movie quotes in. But what Bentancur has brought and delivered, and still like I spoke about before, of Kulusevski knowing the language, which I think is a huge benefit. Once he's got that as well, I think what Bentancur delivers and at the price he's coming at, these people aren't going to the market. There's loads of them. Whereas on the attacking side, there's always more options. This is a central midfielder. Deki can play in a host of positions and has a host of things he could do.
Yeah.
And you just saw right now, Sean, when you were doing the comparisons, you just listed off 3 or 4 players right there.
Yeah.
Right then, Will just said to Adam, name someone other than Bentancur. And he was like, no, you're right. Yeah, so right now, for what Bentancur could deliver in the future, I think at that price and what he's shown already, I would have to keep Bentancur at the club on this. But I must say, your would you rather questions have gone through glass ceilings beyond glass ceilings in the difficultness of them.
Well, it's interesting. So Stinky's saying, why always the binary questions? Like, obviously, the answer is always, somewhere in the middle. They're deliberately tough. It's part of the game, Stinky.
Well, so, just to put it in perspective for that comment, his original questions were like, would you rather eat lobster or dog shit? That's how would you rather they were. Where this one...
You got to start low and then build a baseline.
Exactly. The questions are fantastic.
All right. Well, listen, Bun, I want to bring you in because you were supposed to be the original answer, but then you had a tactical vomit, like we used to say in the when we go to the pub when you're drinking too much. You disappeared just on when we were supposed to answer. But just to give you a bit of a heads up, the audience, you got such a split decision. Alexander Hilton says Kulu. Scott M says Bentancur. Golden Cock says Bentancur. Who else we got here? King Hoddle saying Kulu. Mick is saying Kulu. Monjo, Bentancur. Scott M is saying Bentancur. Golden Cock, I think, is obviously agreeing with with Adam.
King, thanks.
Sorry, mate. Sorry. Stinky's offering different names altogether.
My name is William too.
Come on, the wheels.
Mark,
can you ask the question again? Because
I
actually cut out, my StreamYard just was acting up, so I had to come out and come back in.
And it's called Puke and Rally here in the States, by the way.
Is that what it's called? Puke and Rally, tactical vomit. Yeah. The question was, if you had to pick one of the two loanees, Bentancur or Kulu, and one of them went back to Juve and the other one stayed with us. If you had to lose one, had to keep one. And I originally started with for next season, but I'll actually open it up to right now, just for argument's sake. If one of them fucked off back to Juve and the other one stayed permanently, based on what you've seen, and we've got a split decision, right? So Adam says Kulu, Will says Bento.
The pressure, the pressure.
Brian says Bento. I
But my-
personally, I think Bento as well. Even though I fucking love Kulu, I just.
But
think
my decision changes depending
Right, so-
on that
when.
question though.
Yeah,
Whether
Yeah,
when,
because
yeah,
that
now
question's now
Bentancur.
different.
Okay.
Yeah, so
well,
are you
okay.
talking about now, as in who would you rather send back? But what's the scenario? Is it
In the
just to
summer.
have
In
was
the,
it-
the,
who
the,
would you
the,
send
the
back?
original question was in the summer. Yeah.
in the summer?
right? And okay, so yeah, it's quite a vague question because obviously there's so many variables to that question, right? So what happens if you're saying get rid of Kulu, get rid of Bentancur, what's the solution? Because there has to be a solution if one of them goes, right?
Mhm.
If you and it depends on what the solution is, because then you can judge your answer based on what the solution is. Because if they sit here and tell me that Harry Winks is going to be our first team starter, then I'm going to say Bentancur, because if they're not going to bring anyone else in, it doesn't matter. We've got options, yeah, who might not be as good as Kulu, but I'd rather Bentancur than anyone else in that midfield, right?
Yeah.
Or Winks, for example, right? But if you're saying that there's going to be options where we're going to actually be able to sign some players, then I'd probably say I'd rather keep Bentancur, if I'm honest. As much as Kulu's been doing really well, I agree with Will for the fact that my dream choice of a right winger is Rafinha. That's who I would go and get. And Bentancur, he is so he can imagine if you put Bentancur with better midfielders around him. You go and put in a proper enforcer in that midfield, right? With a Bentancur and someone else, a Skip, say for example, right? He's going to look
Frank
even.
Kessie.
Yeah, for example, he's going to look even better, right? He's going to look so good. You put, or for example, you put Bentancur and McKennie in with like a Frank Kessie or someone like that, for example. He's going to look so good in the ball because you're going to have three different kinds of
My
players
dream
who could
midfield,
do
Kenny. Be
all
careful.
different things, all technical ability, and they can all ball carry. They can all hold the ball up and retain possession. And I think for me, that's where our midfield is lost every single time we lose a game, right? A right winger, you can rotate with. I know it might not be as good as Kulu right now, but you can rotate with more Bergwijn and whoever else you want to fucking put there, right? And they're not going to do as good as the job. But for me, it's clear as day to see that our weakest part of our team right now is the midfield.
Absolutely.
And it's levels. It's fucking levels when you can see that Harry Winks comes on and Højbjerg looks like the worst player on the pitch, right? And as soon as Harry Winks comes out of that team and Bentancur comes in, the stability of Højbjerg, I mean, he hardly did anything in that game against Everton the other day. And that's a detriment to how good Bentancur was, right? Because he hardly had anything to do. And obviously, of course, Everton are probably one of the worst teams who played all season. But
so bad.
To see that he hardly had to do anything, right? Because he also feels more confident in that middle. It just shows you how good of a player Bentancur is. Of course, we can get better, but realistically, are we going to get better for the price that we've actually got him for? We're not.
How much did we pay? How much did we agree
Like
for the deal?
18 million or something.
18 million euros.
Yeah, that's insane, isn't it? That's insane.
That's like 15 million pounds. That's
Danny,
nothing.
just quick. Danny, what is we spoke about the Kulusevski deal and the option. What I don't actually know. What is the actual deal with Bentancur? Is it just a loan and it's an obligation?
No,
Bentancur we bought.
Bentancur we bought.
Outright.
So he is bought. He is lock, stock,
He's bought.
sold. He's
Lock,
Oh,
It's
the whole thing's
19.
moot then.
It's 19. It's 19 million euros plus add-ons based on performances, right? And where we finish and that kind of stuff. So if we finish in the Champions League, there'll probably be some bonuses there, like an odd 1 or 2 million there or whatever. I think the whole deal, I don't know how much it goes to, but it's like 23 or something
25,
like that,
25
or
million
24.
euro or something like
Yes. It's like 22, 23 million pounds, which again, it's if we get him like that and
that.
keep
Even
him
at 25
like
is a steal.
yeah, for 25, I mean,
Compare
for
that
25
to
million
Emerson Royale.
euros,
25
right,
million.
yeah.
to Emerson
Exactly.
Royale.
Brian
Yeah.
Hill at like 30 million, 40 million pounds with you if
Yeah.
you add what's his name's value.
Yeah.
Lamella.
Eric
So-
Lamella, yeah.
So for me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, Kulu, he's great right now because obviously he's showing potential. He's showing what I like about Kulu is his attitude for me and his intelligence, his football intelligence. That for
The
me is
intelligence
what.
part.
Yeah, that for me is what I love about him more than anything. First and foremost is his intelligence because the guy has a football brain. He knows how to play football. He knows how to manipulate a ball, and it's you would think a professional footballer that should be a given, right? But Unfortunately, it's not. There's not many players that are really that gifted with a high intelligence, a high IQ intelligence, right, or football intelligence. But he's also got the work rate to go with it, and he's got the willingness to want to learn and want to improve. So you give him a year or so in the Premier League, yeah, he's going to be an even better player. And he's only 21 years old, and he's levels above most 21-year-olds at that age who come into the Premier League, right? Yeah, he might not be the fastest player, but for what he makes up for what he does have, right? And to be honest, he looks like he's getting stronger, he's getting quicker, he's getting more used to it every time you see him play. And for me, he's a confidence player. You can see the confidence in the kid. And I think that goes to say with Doherty as well. I think I'll get onto my point of Doherty after, right? But yeah,
we're going to move on to the right wing back stuff now in a minute. So
all right, so before I say anything, I think if it was me, I would rather get rid of Kulu, even though I really like him.
Yeah, I like him.
I just think Bentancur is a lot more vital right now.
That's the point of the game. I never want to give you easy questions anymore. I want to give you tough questions.
But it's a good
caveat
question.
them all.
But it kind of defeats the object of the question because obviously Bentancur is a
I know.
permanent
I know that now. I didn't know when I wrote the question.
Hey guys, now you do.
Let me quickly ask.
Another one for the blooper reel.
And Danny mentioned my dream midfield: Bentancur, Kessie, and McKinney. I would sell every midfielder we have and my middle child to make that happen because we have middle children are expendable.
That would be a brilliant midfield, man. You've got.
You know what? I have to say, with Will saying that, if we get McKinney, because Will raves about him. Like I said, I don't know a lot about McKinney. I didn't know a lot about Kessie. But Will has spoke about McKinney. Obviously, there's the American connection, but he spoke about him in great length because he watches him and knows a lot about him. So I take a lot of stuff. Like obviously, when I don't know these players, it's very hard for me to judge when they come in. But when I hear people that I know and trust their judgment and whatever, and Will bangs on about McKinney, like I've done with other players, then I'd love to see him at Spurs. Can't say I've seen him and know much about him, but I trust everything Will says.
I mean, that's how I knew Bentancur and Kulusevski were decent because I watch Juventus so much because of.
So if that says, I mean, the only thing I'd say with that dream midfield is I'd like to see Ollie Skip in there somewhere because I just think the guy is a superstar. I really do. But yeah.
Let me just press pause for 1 second. Now we've got 53 people, 55 people watching the stream, only 28 likes. Guys, if you wouldn't mind, if you're appreciating the good chat this evening, if you wouldn't mind doing me the solid and just whoever hasn't hit the like button, please hit it. If you've already hit it, don't hit it again. We don't want to go down. We want to go up, not down. Same with the subscription button. You know what you got to do? Just hit the button in 3 as a team. 3, 2, 1.